Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
I'm back, and welcome back to another episode of Software Explorations with Tech Coach Ralph. So, what we have this week is we are going to be configuring we're going to be building upon what we've been doing the past few weeks. We're going to be configuring Selenium-Wire to work with RemoteDriver, but this time not locally, not on the EC2 instance, but on the AWS device farm. All right, so before we get into all of that, we are going to do our regular housekeeping. So, number one, so before I even get started off, I want to thank Aclor for being with us on the Thursday night live stream where we were implementing the Citronella page object, the page object model package that Aclor created, and we are going to finish that on this upcoming Thursday. I read the comment that was left about some parts in the live stream, and I didn't get a chance to respond to the comment yet. But it was something that I was already thinking about, and very, very insightful. I'm going to go through it a little bit more this week before we get onto that live stream, so we can do some of that implementation. We're going to finish up what we were doing with the Citronella page object model Python package. So very cool. All right, so let's get into the housekeeping. Let me get my notes up. So before we keep going, this is for you, Aclor, again. Great stuff. That was very fun implementing that. Okay, so let's see. So number one, for all the new subscribers this week, really appreciate it. Really happy that you're finding value in it. So and I was supposed to be streaming on Facebook as well, but had some trouble with Facebook letting me start. So if they want to watch it, come over to YouTube. But it was taking too much time, and I didn't want to keep messing with that. So with that, it is what it is. So, as I said, thanks for all the new subscribers. Now, the show schedule is Sunday afternoons, Software Explorations, which is today, right now. We've been working more on a QA infrastructure type that we've been working on the past few weeks with the Selenium-Wire integration into the RemoteDriver, setting up whether we're doing it through Docker locally, Docker on EC2, and now we're going to push it even further to pushing it further to the AWS device farm. So we're going to be configuring that within our Python code, and go from there. So Sunday afternoon, software explorations. Tuesday nights, Q&A, which so far that is my favorite live show to do, is the Q&A, where I get to answer your questions. And then Thursday nights, it is another software exploration, but that one it is leaning more towards the coding portion. So like we just did the citronella, implementing that into one of our automations that we did. I think we did it on the DoorDash one. That was pretty cool to see how we cleaned up the code and it integrated. So yeah, Thursday nights, software explorations. Software explorations more on the software engineering coding side of it, while Sundays so far have been the infrastructure side, but all of that is subject to change. So now we have our pre-release content is Mondays, candid conversations, Wednesdays, kind of like a software exploration guide, walk through type of things. Fridays is the Bug Bite. That is my favorite show. If you did not see the release from this Friday, go back and check it out. It was about the OceanGate Titan submersible implosion from a quality engineering perspective. So very good stuff. Check it out. And I hope you like on the intro, how I had the thumbnails for the upcoming shows and the past shows in that slideshow. So I thought that was pretty amazing, if I must say. So this is for me. Yep. All right. Anything else? So yes, if you have not already, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be looking out for the chat. So we will address that. If there's no chats when we take our breaks, we will go job hunting, job breakdown on LinkedIn. And I might start adding other places like maybe Glassdoor. I like what Glassdoor has. Maybe we can break down like looking at the ratings of the companies and stuff like that. So that is what we will have on our breaks. So our breaks are, we're going to work for 20 minutes, take 5-minute break where we read the chats, review any comments, review LinkedIn job postings. 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Okay, cool. All right. So let me get my environment set up. And before we go, let me put a message in the chat too. And it's running twice. Let me see something. Do I have it open twice? No, I don't. Okay. All right. Let me check the chat. Oh, I do have it open twice. I don't know. 1 second. I close both of them down. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Fix that. Okay. So here we are. Now let me get our things open. So we need charm, of course. And we need a browser. Move that over here. Oh yeah, one more thing to address before we go on. Somebody asked me if it is necessary to wear my illustrious hoodies when I am doing a show. Well, somebody, the answer is emphatically
Message.
yes. It is absolutely necessary to wear the hoodie because as we go deep, deep, deep into the code, it gets dark and it gets cold. And we must protect ourselves from the trials and tribulations, the frustration that we go through as engineers when we are searching for solutions. That's why we have our faithful hoodie to protect us from the darkness, to give us the power that we need. All right. Happy that we got that out of the way. All right, let's open up our project for our Selenium-Wire. I think we're here. Let's use that window. All right. So let's recap real quick. So this all started with we were up timers. Put the timer up. Okay, cool. So let's recap. This started with our very first live stream trying to configure Selenium-Wire to work on the RemoteDriver because it was working fine locally, and but we do not like running locally. We want to run on the Selenium grid, but because that Selenium-Wire works as a proxy, we had to figure out the configuration. First live stream, we couldn't get it. So worked on it in the off season and came back with the treasure saying, all right, I got some insight on how to do this. And so we said, first we're going to do it with the local remote driver using Selenium Grid. We configured that with Docker, got it to work, all good. So then we came back and said, all right, we're going to do it with AWS EC2 instance, and we got that to work by installing Docker on the EC2 instance, and we had we set up the Selenium grid on the EC2 instance, ran the script from the EC2 instance, and it was able to connect. Right, so that's all good. Now, what do we have to do today? Today, we are going to configure our code to work on the AWS device farm. So for the remote driver, we're doing AWS device farm. If you're not familiar with the AWS device farm, what that does is it gives you access to plenty of different configurations, whether that is a desktop, it could be a Mac, it could be Linux, it could be Windows, or it gives you access to mobile devices, right? It can be iPads, it can be different type of phones like Samsung Galaxies, iPhones, different type of tablets, all that type of stuff, right? So it gives you access to those to run your automated tests. So you could say that it works similar to Sauce Labs or Browser Stack. Two notable comparisons, but the difference is, while for Sauce Labs and Browser Stack, you have to either pay for the year to get like a cheaper price, or you pay monthly, which is like very expensive. Even for the year is very expensive. But from my understanding with the AWS Device Farm, like with everything else on AWS, is it's a pay as you go. So you pay based on what you use. The same way with the EC2 instance, depending on the size of the EC2 instance that you have, and like when you have it running, that's how they calculate how much you pay. So it's more of a pay as you go for the AWS Device Farm. All right. So with that being said, that is our goal for today, is to get the Selenium-Wire using our M3U8 project that ran through Flow Grappling to work using the AWS Device Farm. So we're going to code that, and we are going to push that up to the EC2 instance to pull it in. And then we will, we're going to run it and we're going to see what happens. All right. So let's see. Before we get going, we need one last thing. And what is that?
Please offer me your energy. I ask of you, please.
We need some energy. So I got this drink here. I will not share what it is because they are not promoting me to. So although you might see it when I drink it, but it is what it is. But they are not getting free sponsorship from me. But I am thirsty. So good old energy. All right. So let's do this. What do we got going on? All right. So we are going to transition to our shared screen. Let me make sure that it's actually showing, because we've known in the past where it didn't where it wasn't pulling up the screen properly and all that stuff. Oh, such a mess. But let's go already. Okay, so it is up and showing, and let me make sure that I have my camera. Perfect. All righty, we are ready to go. So let's go. Let's transition. And we got our share screen. We have Chrome on the right, PyCharm on the left. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to start our 20-minute countdown. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to make another branch. Be ergonomically correct here. There is my... There we go. And I'm going to pull up the mic a little bit closer to me. Okay, perfect. So let's see, where's my mouse? All right, cool. So what we're going to do is get checkout -B your AWS EC2. Oh, not, well, I guess it's still EC2, but device farm. Because we're running it on the EC2 to trigger it. but we're going to be running it against a device farm. Why can't we do this locally? So the reason that we're not doing this locally is because that the network that I'm on, it's through my, like, I don't have a private IP address with my ISP, and then trying to get through the router and everything like that to get back to me, it would be a mess because the proxy, which we established last time, the proxy is the host that, or the computer, to make it even easier to understand, is the computer that the Selenium-Wire is running off of. That's the proxy. So if I run it from my computer, that'll be the proxy, but then it won't be able to come back to me. So that's why we need to run it on the EC2 instance. All right. So let's create our branch. And it would help if I wrote the actual full command, which is git checkout. So we're at checkout, and what do we need to do? So before we go on, let's just do a quick Google search for AWS device farm to get a more comprehensive explanation of what the device farm is. And let's get a search from Amazon, actually. So AWS device farm is an application testing service that lets you improve the quality of your web and mobile apps by testing them across an extensive range of desktop browsers and real mobile devices without having to provision and manage any testing infrastructure. The service enables you to run your tests concurrently on multiple desktop browsers and real devices to speed up execution of your tests and generate videos and logs to help you quickly identify issues with your app. That is a QA engineer's dream. And I think it would be very useful to integrate the AWS device farm. And as you see here, right, it's like for 1,000 device minutes free, one-time trial with AWS free tier. And let's look a little bit more to see. So Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Firefox that are housed in AWS Cloud. Let's see. Execute concurrently. So, and you can run it from so pay as you go, 17 cents per device. Unlimited testing starts at $250 a month. So let's say you run a bunch of tests, then it might be more cost benefit to you to do the unlimited testing. Let me see something. Where's my calculator? So 250 times 12. Well, must have fat fingered something. 250 times 12. But it only comes out to $3,000 a year if you were to do the unlimited testing, which I'm not going to say how much the prices of other providers are, but this is pretty cheap if you looking at the grand scheme of things. So that being said, let's look up some documentation on how to configure our code to run on the AWS device farm. All right, so we are going to look up the documentation. I think I need to log in actually to AWS. So give me a second to log in. Let's see. And make sure you set up MFA, like multi-factor authentication on your AWS account, because you do not need people getting in there and running up your bill. Let me see. Where is my... Where is that at? There we go. All right. What is our code? It is... All right. So let's do this. Pull this up over here. Okay, so we are inside of our EC2 instance. Oh, what am I saying? We are inside of our AWS Management Console, and we are going to device farm. So let's create a whole new one to get started, just so you can see the flow that we would go through to do this. Okay, so we are going to do new project, and let's call it Selenium-Wire configuration live stream. All right, so Selenium-Wire configuration live stream. And we are going to create now. I always do this, so I don't need, so I did it under mobile, but I'll save this because maybe we'll be exploring mobile. Or, well, we will be exploring mobile, but I want to be under desktop. So let's do new. And let's do let's do it again. Selenium-Wire live configuration live stream. And we don't need to do any of that. And we're going to do create. That's interesting. Maybe with that, you don't even need to. We're not even going to worry about that. So here is our project ARN. Let's look up the documentation on how we do the desktop browsing. So let's do HTML. All right, so what is device farm browser testing? This guide shows you how to run your Selenium tests on multiple desktop browsers hosted on AWS. This feature scales seamlessly so you can run your tests in parallel on multiple browser instances to speed up the execution of your test suite. For every browser the test is executed on, device farm generates video recordings and Selenium logs to help you quickly identify any issues with your web app. Great. This reminds me of an interview that I had, which I spoke about it in one of our candid conversations about an interview reflection, where I was working on getting using Java to run in parallel, and they didn't think that the way that I was going to do it would be able to work, but it did, and it's my code now. But that would be really cool, like to use that code to be able to run, let's say, 40 different tests in parallel. So, I don't know, which I think, I don't know, that would be a good test. I don't know if I have 40 different tests to run, but you could be running the same test, but like, I don't know. There's so many things you can do especially if you manage a large test suite, using it on the device farm. Running it in parallel might be very beneficial to you, especially at that $250 dollar a month tier, you can like really speed up your testing. So I don't know, something to consider. Anyways, let's keep going. So before you begin, all right, terminology. And all right, yeah, that's great. So where's to get started? Like, all right, so we want the code for Python. So we're gonna need to import the Bodo 3. I wonder, you know what? I always see Bodo 3 package, but I always wonder what Bodo stands for. You can use the AWS SDK for Python Bodo 3. What is Bodo 3? I'm just curious. Why do they call it Bodo 3? Why does Amazon call Python's package Bodo 3? The name was chosen by the author of the original Bodo library, Mitch Garnett, as a reference to the company. Well, Boto was named okay, here we go. Bodo, pronounced Boto, was named after the freshwater dolphin native to the Amazon River. The name? Okay. I am satisfied with that answer. I've been wondering this for since I started using the AWS SDK for Python. And I'm like, what does Bodo 3 stand for? And it was named after the freshwater dolphin native to the Amazon River. Perfect. I am satisfied. I'm gonna share that fun fact with somebody. Okay, so import Bodo 3, import. No, we don't necessarily need PyTest, but let's put this over here. Like that. So this is the code that we're going to need to implement into our test. So we don't need this anymore. And all right, so we have our code here. Let me close this down. Close this down for now. So our configuration, we have our, so what should we do? This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it in segments. We are going to put in the code for the device farm. Then we're going to use regular Selenium instead of Selenium-Wire, just so we can see that it's running on the device farm. And then once we see that it's actually running on the device farm, then we're going to turn back on our Selenium-Wire and configure the EC2 instance to run correctly. Deal? Deal. All right, cool. So let's do this. So what's the code? So we have our RemoteDriver here. So we need to configure that here. So we're going to say, all right, so let's start. Import Bodo 3. So let's do here. Install package. All right, we got Bodo 3 installed. And then we go to here. So we don't have the class setup method part, but we're just going to we're going to do it our own way, right? And then as we refactor this in the future, we can make it pretty, but our goal is always to get it to work first, and then we refactor to make it better. Although we're not doing TDD, we're still following the TDD principles. So here we go. So we're going to all right, I'm gonna do it up here. So device farm settings. All right, so we're gonna do device farm client equals photo3 dot client device farm, and then region name. And that's going to be US West -2. And then we're going to say, so the way that this is going to work is it's going to send a request for the test grid, and then it's going to return the URL for our Selenium hub. So let's do test grid URL response equals device farm.client dot create test grid URL. And then we do project ARN. This should be project ARN equals, and now this ARN, we need to take it from here and paste it in here. And then we say expires in seconds equals 300. Oops. Okay, it was on here. All right, cool. So we got that. Now, so now the only thing that we need to pass is the remote here. We're going to take this test grid response and the URL, so it's going to return you what we can do is print that for the response, but inside of here, because it's not running locally, the command executor should be and then URL, right? Okay.
Lunch break! Lunch break!
Nice. Break time. Okay, so let's pivot this way, and we are going to cool. So let's check the chat. So far, we are on our way. Let's see the chat for comments. So it says, "Hello, Tech Coach Ralph. So we can do Selenium-Wire using our local computer, EC2, and AWS Device Farm. What is the function of each of them?" So local computer, it's testing if you're running locally on your computer. So you can run. So you can run Selenium tests where it's pretty much controlling your computer. It's like saying use it through like Chrome Drive, through Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. But then you can also run it on a Selenium grid, which could be handled through Docker. And that way, it's running on your computer, but it's not taking over your computer. It's like running on a subcomputer within your computer, right? So, and then EC2, it's running in the cloud on a Amazon computer, Amazon Web Services computer. And that's not necessarily specifically for Selenium-Wire. It's for any Selenium you can do the same thing for. But the reason that we're focused on Selenium-Wire right now is because of the configuration that it takes in order for it to work in different environments. So that's why we're focused on Selenium-Wire. But so it can run on EC2, which is and you can set up a Selenium grid there, and it can work like on a cloud computer. Now, with the device farm, it's running against computers and browsers that are already set up for you, right? It's not like you're not configuring the Selenium grid yourself. So you can think about the AWS device farm as an existing Selenium grid that you can send your test to without doing the configuration for that, and your test should work. Now, the reason that we need to configure that is because the reason that we're doing this is because we need to make sure that AWS device farm is able to contact the computer that we are running the test from. So that's why we're going to, like, after we verify that it can work on after we verify that it can work on after we verify that it can work on the device farm regularly, then we're going to turn on our Selenium-Wire to make sure that the connection from AWS device farm to our AWS EC2 instance, our cloud computer, can actually speak to each other. And the way that we'll know that it's speaking to each other is because there's not going to be an error when running the test when it's trying to communicate to one another. So, and we'll see that because it's the same errors that we saw when we were running it locally and we were running it on the EC2 instance last week. So now we need to do even more infrastructure configuration in our EC2 instance to make sure that they're able to talk to each other. So we shall see that. So great question, I must say. And then you have another comment which says, so if Selenium is for testing, so they are probably where, so they are probably, I don't understand the question 100%. If you can rewrite it, ask it again, I will definitely answer it. I don't understand 100%, but yeah, ask it again and I will definitely answer your question. All right, so let's see here. And we have that was a good session because we got pretty far. We haven't tested it yet. But we got pretty far, and what we'll do is we will comment out the Selenium-Wire code when we come back, and we will make sure that we are able to run our test on the AWS device farm. And once we have successfully done that, we will push it. We'll keep going forward. Keep diving in deeper. Okay. You are very, very welcome. So you get, for your great question, you get very good question. So let's push forward with, all right, we got some time. So let me pull up a LinkedIn. Let's see what jobs are on LinkedIn today. It's so big. My goodness, it's so big. Reset. like when you're not in the job market, that's when everybody wants to talk to you. So I think we looked at this job already. Let me see. Let's look at actually I want to look at a different type of job. That's because we've been doing a lot of infrastructure type stuff the past few weeks on Sundays. So why not look at some? Let's see what they have in the DevOps sector. So let's go here. So we have Zelo. So because recently we connected with someone and they want to get more into DevOps. And let's do a quick breakdown of what DevOps is. We might not make it in this round, but we can always break it down when we come back. And it'll give you a good opportunity to see like when I'm interested, like when I was interested in growing in QA, how I did the research to know what I needed to learn, right? And we can look at it. We can use the same thing for Dev. Let's say I wanted to get into DevOps. What I would do to find out what I need to learn to get into DevOps. All right. So after on our next break, we can do that. We're gonna look at
Get a move on. Back to work. Chop, chop. Let's go. Come on, get a move on. You're back to work. Back to work. Back to work.
Okay. So pushy. But yeah, we're gonna look at this job description for senior DevOps engineer to see what it takes to become a DevOps engineer, what are the requirements, and if you were interested in going down the DevOps path, what you would have to do. So we'll put that on the back burner and we will come back to that on our next break. So where are we now? So now we are going to timer. All right. We're going to get a drink before we keep going. What we're going to test this out on a regular Chrome to make sure that we are that the device farm is working as expected. And then once we make sure that works, then we can go into configuring our Selenium-Wire to work properly. All right. So that being said, let's see. Do we have as WebDriver? Okay, WebDriver import. So I'm gonna import our native WebDriver. Jeez. My goodness. All right, and we're going to say from Selenium import. I just call it in web. Oh, call it WebDriver as in WebDriver. So the reason that I use as in there because I don't want to be like changing code between WebDriver and what I can just do is if I use in WebDriver, I can just go down in the bottom and I can just in WebDriver I can just go here and say we're not doing this one. We're going to say so Selenium-Wire option won't even matter. I'm going to comment these out for now. And I'm going to say we don't need this one. And instead of WebDriver, we're going to say in WebDriver. All right. So what that says is instead of using WebDriver, which we're assigning it, we're importing it from Selenium-Wire, we're doing it from the regular Selenium, the native one. Okay. So what we are going to do is, I think well, before I'm going to comment this out because this is going to fail anyways. And I don't, but the main, like, as long as we can get to like flow grappling, I think we should be good, but let's get it a little bit further. I'm going to comment this out as well. This is kind of part of it. Let's comment this whole thing out. And all right, so I think we're good. We can just undo everything after that, but I think this is a good spot. As long as it can get all the way past all these things, it should be good. So we are going to run it. And another cool thing that we could do, not today, but just so you can see like how everything comes together, right? One cool thing that we could do is like at some point we finish this by putting it in a proper like the right way, not have like all this find element and driver. Maybe we could implement like the citronella on it. Maybe we can implement the page factory, Selenium page factory package, something where it's so much clearer because like this code is horrendous, to be honest with you. We can push this through to be very clean code. The goal is always clean code. I have it messy right now because, like I said, this is like we're very focused and targeted on what we're working on. So sometimes when you're that focused and targeted, you're gonna have some messy code, but we can address that messy code in a session where we clean it up. So you can see like how I would clean up the code to be presentable. It's because I honestly don't like how the code looks, but I'm focused on a particular mission right now, and that's why we are where we are. So with that being said, let's keep going. Let's give it a run, I believe. I think we're in a good spot to run. Yep. Let's give it a run, see what we got. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to our device farm. And we have this in here. So it should be telling us the sessions that are running. And let's give it a run. If any errors, we will fix it like we always do. All right. So we got our grid URL. Let me see if I refresh this. And this is because I printed it out. I wanted to see what was going to happen. So there goes that URL that it's going to be using for the grid. So let's see. Make this bigger too. All right, here we go. So it's running. We have a session. So basically, we have configured it. We have configured the Selenium, not Selenium. We have configured AWS Device Farm to work. So that's good. I don't know. 100% sure what it's doing right now. I cannot see it. Let's see what we got here. We have the session running. Oh, I see what happened. Oh no, that's fine. End driver. So okay, never mind. So we have our end driver. I wonder if it's stuck here because there's no scopes here. I'm gonna comment this out and write. I feel like it's stuck. I can't see what's happening 100%, but I feel like it's stuck. Let me stop it. We're gonna run it again. But at least we know that it is able to get to the line 69. Oh, it got over here. That's weird. Let me see. Maybe we can see the video to see what happens. Let's see here. Takes a little bit of time for the for it to shut down. Oops. I want it to go. I'm gonna try another thing too, because when I'm looking at the nope, not the one I wanted. When I'm looking at this right here, VPC, virtual private cloud. No, I don't think that's what I was. Security group. Nah, that won't do it. Okay, so let's see. I wonder if our video is done yet. I wanted to see the video to see what it actually did, but I don't think the video is done saving. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run it again. So we know that it's getting it to the device farm, but we can't really see what's happening yet. Should be getting a new session soon. Eventually this will time out, but I haven't seen our new session yet. Okay, there goes our new session. Okay, so that the first one is closed. Let's see what happened here. All right, so it actually did load this page. Okay, so our device farm is working. Let's see here. Like it got stuck here though. I'm gonna add some comments. So let's do print, go to home page. I like having these prints in here so I can know what's going on. Like where in, like when I'm looking at this, like where in the test that I am. This one is click on watch link. And then this one is those cookies pop up, I guess. And then pick first feature thumbnail. And then that should be it for there. So, because see, like this is, oh, okay. So it's getting further. Continue to next step. So where is continue to next step in our code? And you see like how by looking at it, I'm able to see that it clicked continue to next step. And that's why I added those print statements just so I could see where it's at. So where was continue to next step? Click intercepted. Don't have anything about that. Where is continue to next step? Continuing. Okay, so that's for the cookies part. Continuing to next step. So it's waiting 10 seconds and then it's going to try to click on the first thumbnail. So it should be on the watch page, although we cannot see it. That's one of the things I don't like. Not that it's in particular. Okay, so look at that. It went all the way over here. And it pulled here, TS response. So I mean, it worked, right? It got to here. I'm just okay. So yeah, it worked because last time we changed it to match the content type of from the watch. This one, because we were just testing it out, we're not using Selenium-Wire, so it's not picking up the manifest URI for the featured video. It's using the one that was hard coded. So that's why it would have been a different one, but that's why it failed. It was the octet stream when we were expecting the video MP2T. So that's good. So it works, right? That's good. So because of that, we are leveling up. All right, so we got past level 1. Level 1 is done. So let's do. Now we are going to go back and we are going to configure. We are going to, okay, so we're going to re-enable, so we're going to do a bunch of Control Z's because we are going to re-enable Selenium-Wire. Actually, no, we're not going to do Control Z's because we want our print statements, but we are going to do this. So we are going to comment this one out, uncomment this, uncomment that. And then let me close this right here so we can see more. And while we're doing that, let's go look at this one. Anything else to uncomment? So we are good on these. We're going to uncomment this. And we are going, so now we're going to, okay, uncomment the scopes. And then we are going to say, put this back. I'm going to put this back. I'm going to change this back to WebDriver. Put that back. All right, so we are ready to configure our Selenium-Wire. Now, what is the key things that we need to do when we're configuring the Selenium-Wire, right? So the two main things, it's going to be, yeah, we'll say two. This right here, we need to make sure that we're passing the right address. So 0.0.0.0 is our local internal IP for the computer that we're on. Why were we able to use that last time? Well, the reason that we're able to use that last time is because that on our local machine, Docker is able to connect to that, right? And on the EC2 instance, it also has Docker installed on that same machine, so it's able to use that internal IP, and then Docker is able to send back to here, which routes to here. But now we are no longer working internally. We are configuring outside of, so because AWS Device Farm is not on the machine that we're running our Selenium-Wire test. It lives somewhere else. It's its own location. It's that that URL that gets generated. That's where it is. So now we need to make sure that the IP address that our Selenium-Wire can find we need to make sure that the device farm, the grid, can find the machine that is running our Selenium-Wire, right? So we need to update this, make sure we update the port, and we need to update the proxy server to the address of the machine that is running Selenium-Wire. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, put it in the chat or leave me a comment and I can explain more. We can revisit it. Maybe we can do a software exploration lecture type thing where we talk about it more. But I think we already have one about Selenium-Wire. So, but either way, whatever. Let's and the break is coming up soon. So what we can do is after the break, we can configure. We can go into EC2 and we can start configuring the server so that they can talk to each other. All right. Okay, so we got that. If I run it now, it is definitely not going to work because we are not using Docker and we're not using our internal machine. So we need to get that updated before we do anything else. And we will do that immediately after the break.
Lunch break! Lunch break!
All right, so let's check the chat. No comments in the chat. So we will go back to the job. So before I do that, let's do this. So what we're about to do, right? I'm gonna show you like what I do when I'm looking for like not necessarily for a job, but to a position that like when I wanted to get deeper into QA, what I did to gain the skills that I needed to be able to apply for all these jobs and just strengthen my QA game. And we're going to use, because I have a friend who's interested in DevOps, I'm going to show you what I would do if I wanted to get a DevOps job, right? So let's look at here. So here we are. So I'm not as much focused on the company, but let's read about the job. As a world leader in SaaS management and optimization, Xylo enables companies to organize, optimize, and orchestrate SaaS. Organizations large and small trust Xylo's enterprise-proven technology and unparalleled SaaS management expertise to optimize more than 30 million SaaS licenses and $21 billion in SaaS spend. Xylo's patent-pending AI-powered discovery engine provides continual frictionless monitoring of SaaS spend, licenses, and usage to create the industry's most trusted SaaS system of record, fueled by more data than any other provider. Xylo delivers insight that allows you to take action quickly to optimize growing SaaS portfolios. All right, so this is more part where when you're looking for the job, you see like what the company that you're doing does. But if you're looking to also like if you're more looking to transition into a position, like let's say I wanted to become a DevOps engineer, right? I would be more focused on the part that we're not even necessarily this part right here. But let's read it, because it's important. Report. So let's say a senior DevOps engineer would typically, so reporting to the director of security, our senior DevOps engineer will own and maintain Zylo's AWS infrastructure environment. Very important. The key focus is like the AWS infrastructure environment. So off rip, what I'm already hearing is that I would need to be, I would need some type of AWS certification, some AWS experience, right? So keep that in mind. So Zylo's infrastructure consists of a suite of AWS services in addition to Docker and Terraform. Ooh, Terraform. So we have Docker, we have Terraform. Terraform, like when I first heard of Terraform, it was maybe about 4 years ago. It was fairly new, but now I see it's like getting more and more popular. How it's being managed, like infrastructure as code for AWS. And I'm not 100% familiar with Terraform, like if it works across like Microsoft Azure, if it works across Google Cloud. But either way, it's getting very popular because AWS, I would say, is the biggest cloud services provider. So, and then there's Docker. So there's coding that's behind Docker too, like especially if you're using like a Docker file, a Docker Compose file. So, okay, so this role offers the opportunity to own the end-to-end creation and management of Zylo's infrastructure as it grows rapidly with our platform while working at a startup speed. So something that's getting very popular, very, very popular.
Message.
It's infrastructure as code. So no longer are you like logging in and just setting up machines and like making sure they can talk to each other. Like those things are still necessary, but it's becoming more of an infrastructure as code, right? So you need to have the code. You need to have the code, and you need to so you need to know like these coding languages. And a lot of times, like they I don't know. I'm not familiar yet if you can do that through like Java or Python or whatever, but it's becoming like if I wanted to become a DevOps person, I would need to start looking into that to make sure that I know what coding languages I need to know, so I can build the infrastructure that way. Okay. So this role offers, okay, so we read that. What you will do: research, design, document, and implement current and future solutions required to align with platform, security, compliance, and PM teams. Perform day-to-day operations tasks such as access, management, incident response, support, inquiries, and alerts. Refine and replace.
Get a move on. Back to work. Chop, chop. Let's go. Come on. Get a move on. You're back to work. Back to work. Back to work.
Okay. Let's just finish reading the what you will do section, and then when we come back for our next break, we'll read the what you will need, because that's the what you will need section is the most important part that I want to harp on. So let's just read this. What you will do: research, design, document, implement current. Okay. Perform day-to-day operations tasks such as access management, incident response, support inquiries, and alerts. Refine and replace day-to-day tasks with a priority focus on automation. Automation. You see, it all comes back to automation because we started with like automation of tasks and stuff, but then manual testing is focused more and more now towards automation testing. So in that testing pyramid, a tiny little part of it on the top should be manual testing, but everything else that falls between it, under it, is some sort of automation, with the base being like unit testing, and then we're moving up to component and integration. Then we got like our business logic testing with our functional test, and then our UI automated test, which is smaller, and then very minimal when necessary. We have our manual test, right? So for those who want to fight for life and manual tests, and that's all you want to do, you're gonna get phased out. So, okay, so where are we? All right. Own and maintain access to all infrastructure systems and service platforms used to provide the Zylo product. Analyze and identify opportunities for infrastructure improvement while providing that feedback to product and development teams. Take lead in all production incidents while maintaining internal and external communications. Update channels. Who will Who will this role interact with the most? Engineering, platform, security, and IT. Travel expectations for the role. Quarterly travel for on-site team building and collaboration events. Cool. So, and here's the thing, right? Right here, um, you're like as a DevOps engineer, you're pretty much working with all the teams because the same way that as a QA engineer, the last line of defense of a functional software is QA, right? I would say the last line of defense of a functional infrastructure, right? Like from starting up to deployment to the product like being stable is with the DevOps engineers. So that's why they touch engineering, platform security, and IT. They all work together. So after the break or after our next working session, we will continue with this. We're going to go through the what you need section because that is like if you are not if you're not a DevOps engineer yet and like you are looking to transition to it, this is the part that I would harp on the most if that's what I was looking to do. But before we do that, let me see. Okay. So let's just address this. What are you testing though? So what we're testing is we are testing to see if we can get the Selenium-Wire configured properly to run our tests on the AWS device farm. So when we run Selenium-Wire, is a proxy and it's trying to so Selenium-Wire needs to communicate with AWS device farm, and AWS device farm needs to communicate with our machine that's running Selenium-Wire, right? So that's what we're testing in this live stream. But the actual code itself is testing the it's using like it's testing like a flow grappling website where it's going to the video section and it's playing the featured video. So that's what the code is testing. But what we are interested in testing is the configuration of Selenium-Wire and AWS device farm. So yeah, like that's what we are. That's what we as Q engineers are testing, configuring, and troubleshooting on this live stream. But if everything was set up and working properly, then the code itself is testing, going to flow grappling, and going through making sure that the featured videos work. So yeah. All right. So let's go back to this. And we are going to set our 20 minutes. And now we need to go into our here and we're going to search for EC2. So what we are going to do is turn on our instance that we had last time. I think it's this one. So let's give it a start. And something that I didn't do last time was shut down the instance. It's very important to remember to shut down your instance because if not, AWS will surely charge you for that time. So let's get this up and running. Make it a little bigger. There's a couple of configuration stuff we're going to need to do. We have to get the public. We need to get the public facing DNS like address for our machine, and then we need to configure the ports, right? So we have to update the security group. So let's see. Let's see. Your dashboard. All right, let's go here. Running. All right, so that is running. So our machine is up. And let's go into our instance. So what we're going to do, we are going to need the public IP4 DNS, right? Because that is the address of our computer. So now when we go in here, the address is no longer 0.0.0. It is now this public IPv4. And we can leave our port as 8091, right? But make this bigger. Here as well, for the argument, it's no longer using Docker, where Docker is trying to connect to a host, where it would be using host.docker.internal. Not anymore. We need to put the same address here. All right. So we are going to update that to that. Okay. So we have that. And then the last thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that our ports are open, because if our ports are not open on the machine, it's not going to be able to communicate to it. Okay. So inside of AWS, the way that we do that is with our security groups. I don't remember if I went over this when we did the in that pre-recorded video of configuring Selenium-Wire. No, is it? Well, I don't remember what that video was, but I know I remember I kind of went over that. But I'll pop the video up in the top somewhere. So now let's see our ports that are open. Maybe I didn't do it because I don't see that port open here. So we need to configure an inbound port of 8091. So we are going to edit our security group, edit our inbound rules, and we're going to add a custom TCP, and we're going to call that, we're going to say the port number is 8091, and we can leave that. And we're going to say Selenium-Wire port. So we save that. So now computers from the outside should be able to send the response to the so it's going to send the response to the public IPv4 DNS on port 8091. All right, cool. So now, but we can't run it from here though, because if I run it from here, we're local. So what we have to do, we need to push this up to the cloud. So let's commit our file. Added code to run on AWS device farm from EC2 instance. Push, and then we got to do the upstream. So what's the next thing that we're going to do? Oh, that's because I need to do it this way. Hit push. All right, so now let me pull up GitHub. The code is there. We're logged in as me. and we go to repositories. We're here. And then the branches. Maybe it's not. Hold on. So here. Repositories. All right, so M3U8 parser live stream. And then go to this one. So it's there. All right, cool. So now we need to log into our EC2 instance. Oh, gotta get the latest IP. Wireless. All right. So in order to do that, we need, and I'll pull up the terminal on the screen after I log into the EC2 instance. I need the latest, I need the IPv4 for the latest instance. So copy that. We are logged in, right? So now let's pull the latest. Actually, there's a couple of things I need to do. Actually, I need to update the requirements to add photo 3. I think that was the only thing we added that was new. Yep. I think I already have Selenium. Oh, I had Selenium in here just in case. All right, cool. So we have all of our, I'm not that. All right, so we have everything in here. Let me update. Let me send this one more time. So let's do get status. All right, not get status. Get commit requirements and updated requirements. All right, and we're gonna push that up. I did not start the timer, did I? Oh, I did. Okay, cool. Get push that up. So now that that's there, we're gonna go back to the terminal, and we're gonna do a pull. Oh, let's see. All right, M3U8 CD or get pull. All right, so now get checkout, PCR, AWS, E2. All right, well, that's a typo, but whatever. So now what we're going to do is we got that. So let's install our requirements. Let's see if I have history in here. Not that history. All right, so we're going to do pip install -r requirements. So we're installing the latest requirements. So that's going to install the Boto 3. And now we are going to Let's try to run it, see what happens. What is the name of the test? So test cases and all right. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Unable to locate credentials. Oh. Okay, so let's find out how to do that. How to So let's say how to use Bodo 3 on EC2. Yeah, that's a good question. So import that. Nope, that's not what we want. So let's do how to run Selenium test on device farm from EC2. Let's see here. Or okay, I'll just ask a better question. How to log into Bodo? No, it's not Bodo 3. I'm logging into Bodo 3. EC2 instance. Let's try that. Instance EC2 instance connect. So no credentials. Able to locate credentials. Let's do photo 3, unable to locate credentials. So what do we need to do? We need to configure the credentials. So we need to create a file, a credentials file with the AWS access key and secret access key. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create that. Let's see. What's the path? All right, so now we need to create it. So what I'll show you is me creating the file. And then when I put the actual keys in, I will move off screen for that. So we're gonna do I inside of Vim, say default, and then AWS access key ID, and let's put the equal sign, AWS secret access key equals. All right, let me come on camera for this part. Okay, so right now I'm going to be finding my key. So I believe we need to go to the I am section of AWS, and let's go to user. security credentials. So, all right, let me see. Trying to find the access key. So bear with me for 1 second. It would be so we're doing AWS credentials. All right, here we go. I can copy that. Put that in here. Copy that. Put that in here. So you would need to set up your access keys on the. You need to use your access key on the AWS EC2 instance. So do that. WQ. Give me a second. I'm almost done with that part. So WQ. Okay. So I think I need to do it one more time. So I think I have to use sudo on there. So I'm using sudo. And now I'm going to paste it again. Copy. Yeah, like I always say, like when we're doing this stuff, there's always little things that come up. So can't open file for writing. So okay, so let's do this. I'm going to exit out of this. And we are going to do some research. So let me transition back. So what we're looking for now is
Lunch break! Lunch break!
all right. So we are on break. We do not have any new comments in the chat, which is all good in the hood. Let's continue our when we get back, we will we'll search on the AWS credentials on the EC2 instance because we're going to need that in order to work with our device farm. So let's go here. All right, so let's look at the like I was saying for the when I'm looking to transition or to learn something new, I go and I look at the job postings and especially for like from top companies, which I'm not really familiar with Zylo, but I would look at the job postings and then I would look at the what you need section. And that what you need section is what lets me know what my study guide is, what courses I need to go take, what to like, just pretty much what to search for. It helps me create my plan. So it says what you need, at least 2 to 4 years of in-depth knowledge with AWS cloud environment, EC2, RDS, S3, CloudFront, Lambda, etc. Okay. Experience using Terraform to implement infrastructure as code, like I was just mentioning earlier, right? What was I saying?
Message!
You experience using Terraform to implement infrastructure as code with a target of a near hands-off environment. So they don't want you to be logging into AWS all the time and doing these manual configurations that aren't easily reproducible, and to deploy them to like they want you to be able to spin stuff up through code. Makes sense. Confidence in scripting languages such as Python and Bash. I think Bash Bash is very, very important to working in DevOps, especially like with the amount of Linux code that you'd be using, so definitely need to get familiar with that. A security-first approach from designing and implementing solutions such as least privilege access, OWASP, top 10 vulnerability prevention, etc. And it says practice understanding and incident management methods using the ITIL framework. Okay, let's do a quick look. So what I'll do is I would go and say, what is ITIL framework? Whenever I don't know something, I look it up to see, all right, what do I need to do? Right, so it says, let's see. ITIL is a framework for effectively managing IT services throughout the entire service lifecycle. ITIL framework offers guidance and best practices for managing the 5 stages of IT service lifecycle: service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, and continual service improvement. Awesome. So we learned something new. Look at that.
Message.
All right. So back to the job. All right. All right. Nice to have knowledge in Azure and GCP. Okay. Certifications in cloud platforms. Previously participated in compliance audits such as SOC 2 Type 2, ISO 27001, GDPR, CCPA, etc. Okay. And then all that good stuff right here that companies put. Okay, so this part right here is very important. So here they want you to have 2 to 4 years of in-depth knowledge with the AWS cloud environment, and it's not required, but I believe that you'd be highly favored if you were certified in cloud platforms, especially AWS. So like becoming an AWS cloud architect, or solutions architect, or whatever that certification is called. I think that would boost you in the ratings, right? For, let's see how many people applied for this job. 358 applicants. Posted 1 week ago, which is not too bad. But yeah, so getting familiar with the AWS cloud architect, they want in-depth knowledge about it. So it's like you could really, like I was saying, building a QA portfolio, right? You can build a I'm sure you could build a DevOps portfolio of like different ways you configured your AWS, your Azure, your Google Cloud Platform. That's what the GCP goes for, Google Cloud Platform. Duh. So if you have that knowledge in there, so I would say, when they say these 2 to 4 years, that's what they would like, but they can, if you can show.
Get a move on, back to work, chop chop, let's go. Come on, get a move on. You're back to work, back to work, back to work.
You got it, boss. But like I was saying, if you can show that you have that knowledge and you know how to navigate your way around there, you could, like, it's a nice, like they say they want 2 to 4 years, but they really want someone who knows what they're doing, right? And then like when you are, if you can communicate how you can work with those to solve problems, because that's really what companies want. When they're saying that they want a senior DevOps engineer, they want a senior QA engineer, they want a senior software engineer, all that, what they're really saying is we want somebody to solve problems. We don't have the capacity to hold everyone's hand, right? So we need solutions driven people. So let's say you don't have that 2 to 4 years experience, like professional experience, but you show that like you have that knowledge where you can log into the AWS and they say they present you with a scenario about this is happening here, and you say, oh, okay, I would check here. It might be this is a problem where the lambdas are failing, but then the results aren't getting to the lambdas are failing, so we gotta check like the X-ray logs and all that AWS talk, right? So the EC2, the RDS, the S3, the CloudFront, the Lambda, all those, right? So if it was me who wanted this, that's all right. They want in-depth knowledge of AWS Cloud, right? Now I need to go find a course that is focused on, like, let's say the AWS solutions architect or whatever AWS courses that they have, right? And I need to focus in on that class and then say, all right, as I'm going through the class, write down opportunities where I can write opportunities where I can like build myself a portfolio. If I put this together, if I do this that way, and then the same way I'm doing this research right here, maybe go on Reddit and you look up, okay, what are some ways that DevOps can practice to get better, and I would like do that every single day. You're like, if you're looking to transition, there you don't there's no breaks. Like, let's say you're working and you get off work and you want to get to the next level, you're getting back to work, but this time you're working on yourself. You're not just working on, like, for a company, right? You're working on yourself, and that's why, like, you're going to have to spend that time that you need to like put in those hours. You build that 2 to 4 year experience within like 6 months of you working on that AWS cloud. You working on, like, learning Terraform, figuring out infrastructure as code, getting your coding up, right? Getting, like, learning Python. So it's like you're going right back to school, right? It's not necessarily that you have to inscribe, like, it's not like you have to register for a college and go at their space. No, you're in control. You can take the class and you can go by. All right, I need to work on this. So every day for like 3 hours, I'm spending an hour on the AWS cloud. I'm spending an hour on Terraform. I'm spending an hour on Python and Bash, right? And then like I'm listening to podcasts or YouTube videos on, like, the top 10 security vulnerability preventions, what OWASP is, how to configure, like, the least privileged access. You put in that time every breaking second of your time. Like, whatever you call free time, it's no longer free because you want to get to the next level, right? So that's the way that I would go about if I wanted to transition to another position, where, like, I'm not particularly familiar with all the details of it. That's how I would get there, right? So hopefully, like, you can see, like, from this breakdown of me looking at another like job position where there's some similarities between DevOps and QA, but there's also a lot of big differences. We cross mingle a little bit, but once you get, like, deep into setting up that infrastructure as code, you need to hone in on there, and you can make that 2 to 4 year experience in a short amount of time, but you have to put in the hours, right? So yeah, let's go back to what we're working on. So we need to figure out, put my timer. We need to figure out how to log into I need to figure out how to log into this because it's not letting us, unable to locate credentials. Let's see. It's going to create this and then see something. So let me see if they have AWS configure. They do not have AWS configure. Okay. So all right, let's try let's say we do install the AWS CLI on EC2, right? Like I said, like we come across these roadblocks, and that's why we have our hoodie on, because it helps us dodge these flying daggers at us, right? Like, all right, we were doing all good. We saw it running on the AWS device farm from our local machine, but then when we get into EC2, you would think like they just work together, but no. We need to get that EC2 instance to connect to our using our credentials. So we have our hoodie on. We're protected. Nothing's going to stop us. So let's see, how do we install we're on a Linux machine. Let's see if this is going to work. We do that. We go here. Oh, we have that. I always do that. The $ can't be a part of it. So, okay, we got that. What's this? Let's make this a little wider so I can see what they're talking about. So it's installing AWS CLI. Once that's installed, then we're going to do the AWS configure so we can log into it. Oh, we're good. Let's see what happened. Let's see what's going on here. That is so weird. I think that this would. Let's try with sudo then. What in the world? It's so weird. That is so weird. Let's do some more research. You can access the features of AWS Alexa Cloud with ICC using the AWS. That's not answering the question. Okay, here is, let's read this one. We power through. But this is still locally though. That's Windows instance. Let's see. Let's see here. AWS user key, open, terminal. That's not what we want though. Let me see if I keep going a little bit. You're on the EC2 instance. This is still a computer. Let me do another search for run Selenium on AWS device farm. from EC2 instance. Let's try that. Let's see here. Because it should be able to connect to it. Let's see here. So we're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. You got all of these. And very valid. The only thing I don't see yet is where to, from your EC2, where would you, from your EC2, trying to think. Let's see where all this is. Let me see here. AWS. So AWS module. Huh. That is so weird. Let's see. Is AWS CLI installed on EC2 by default? All right. So what AWS CLI tools are installed by default on EC2? Let's see. I'm using Linux. All right. For Linux, AMI. And launch S3. That's not what we want. That's not what we want either. This is tricky because when I try to run Python 3 test cases, I get unable to locate credentials. We're already looking for the credentials though. So if we search again, photo 3, unable to locate credentials. No, we don't want to do that. think this would work, but it's not letting me. It's not letting me. Not letting me write to that address. Let's see. Huh. Let me get the error. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get the error that I'm getting when I'm trying to write to that address. I'm gonna go in there as sudo as well. Move that over here. Let's see. So we have that. And I'm gonna do, I am just gonna put in test in there. And this is the, I mean, this is how I troubleshoot stuff, right? So I'm just gonna put test, right? And then I'm going to do WQ, and it says, cannot open file for writing. So if we search that, this is how I troubleshoot stuff. Ooh, okay. So let's do that. Okay, so let's do here. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's do it like that. Okay, so let's see. The general cause permission solution add sudo, which we did add sudo. Let me see. Update AWS credentials file on EC2. Let's see. See, but they're talking about it from a local perspective, and I'm looking for it on EC2. We were all smooth rolling, and they asked us, why do you wear a hoodie? This is why we wear the hoodie. Because as annoying as it gets, we don't quit. We keep coming. We keep coming. Let me see to use Python Selenium 3 on PC. Earning, let's say must include Bodo 3. Selenium works on AWS, but not AWS Lambda. Is Bodo 3 must work on EC2, because if Bodo 3 is in the Python code, let's see. So let's see, we have all that. Go in here. See, that's not even using. Let me see if Photo 3s have been in there. All right, so install, okay, so we have that installed. Finally, so what are you doing in this code? So it's not it. It's not it. So this gives us another mission to figure out. I did sudo, right? Let's see. So let's see if we do cd ec2 user ls. So it said that you couldn't create. So what if we do mkdr.aws? Okay, so let's see if we try that again then. Okay. Now if we do im.aws.credentials. All right, we're getting somewhere. It's getting somewhere. Let's see. I'm gonna add the credentials again. Let me transition to full screen for a second. And let's add those credentials. It accepted it. So let's go back to the share. Let me clear this up. And cd dot ls. All right, so let's go back to the share. And now if we do Python 3, and then we do test cases, just see what happens. All right, so we got a different message error this time. So it says, my error, an error occurred, invalid signature exception when calling the create test grid operation. The requested signature we calculated did not match the signature you provided. Check your AWS secret access key and signing method. Consult the service documentation for details. So after these messages,
Lunch break! Lunch break!
so this is actually a minor victory though, right? Because think about this. We're getting an error that it couldn't get the credentials when we tried to create the file. All this stuff is happening, right? But the way that we engineered around it, where we created the file, like we created the directory, we created the file, and now we're getting a different error. So now we're getting closer and closer to our expected solution. So we are able to continue. So that is pretty cool. We're going to investigate that a little bit more. Maybe I'm using the wrong secret key, but we are a little bit closer. So we'll keep going. No worries. It might even be that no, it actually ran through it. So all right, we'll investigate more after the break. So let's go to break. And let's keep looking at these jobs. I'm gonna close this out, close that out, close that out, close that out, and we will clear that out. And let's do, okay, so we looked at this one already. Cool, great, great posting. So, and we're able to do our research with it, right? Let's just look at some of the Look at this pay though for a senior DevOps engineer in Tallahassee, Florida, 126K to 159K. Not bad. Let's see. So let's look at the essential duties and responsibilities. Like the same way we looked at for the Xylo, we're going to do it here. Develop and deploy AWS and vSphere infrastructure using Terraform, Ansible, and Chef, right? So Ansible is another popular language that I've heard of for deployments. Using Ansible and Chef, we are doing develop and maintain a robust K8 based development platform addressing scalability challenges. So, okay, I believe. Let me see. I believe that's for Kubernetes. K. Yep, Kubernetes. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. I gotta play some more with Kubernetes. So develop and maintain a robust K8 based development platform addressing scalability challenges, manage and optimize K8 clusters, focus on upgrades, capacity planning, and governance, improve systems and applications observability, oversee FinOps and implemented solutions, ensuring efficiency and effectiveness, collaborate with peer system architects, engineers, and product managers on ongoing migration to AWS and Kubernetes platforms, contribute to the knowledge base, and share learnings. Cool. It doesn't even say how long they would. So that's the duties. Let me see. Okay, requirements, bachelor's degree, which they say it, but you can get out without it. 5 years of Linux experience. I mean, this is senior, so if you're going for a senior position, you're going to need some experience. So what we can do is, if you're looking to transition, you can look for some not so senior positions. So yeah, like you need a good amount of 5 years of Linux, 5 years maintaining SaaS platforms. And even if you don't have that experience, it shows you the things that you're going to need to learn and develop as you progress, right? So looking at senior positions is good to start off, like when you're looking to get into it, so you can say, okay, these are all the things I'm going to need, right? Must be passionate about automation. Okay, awesome. But so now let's look at some junior DevOps, right? So junior Azure DevOps. Let's look at this one, junior DevOps cloud engineer. So experience with Azure and or AWS to build and deploy, experience building, maintaining CI/CDs, experience with working with Terraform, experience with working with Jenkins, experience with writing code in Python or Bash, right? So this is like getting started, where this is what you would need, right? And then analyze current DevOps technology used within the company, ensure configuration and compliance with configuration management tools, work with the infrastructure and software engineering team to define deployment requirements, support deployment in the cloud, analyze code and design faults to find root causes and errors, and assemble systems to avoid similar failures in the future, similar faults in the future. Perfect. And like, see, this one is pretty straightforward. So like to get started, you need to learn this, right? So you can make a game plan on learning this stuff. And then as you keep building up your knowledge, then you progress towards what those requirements are for that senior. So that way you can speed up your trajectory to get to that senior position, that whatever comes above senior, right? By having a detailed plan on how you're going to achieve it. Let's get another position. See this one. Junior DevOps engineer. This one is in Austin, Texas. This is Symphony AI. As a junior DevOps engineer at Symphony AI, you'll be joining a dynamic and innovative team dedicated to developing and delivering cutting-edge AI technology to clients around the world. In this
Get a move on, back to work, chop chop, let's go. Come on, get a move on. You're back to work, back to work, back to work.
All right, we'll come back to this one once on our next break. So let's keep going a little bit more. So let's transition back to. So last time we tried to run it, we got a invalid signature. So now we can look for this, right? Let's see what that means. Let's copy that, put it in here, and search. AWS invalid signature. Signature expired when running. All right, that's not what we want. Okay, let's put a little bit more. How to fix the signature? We calculated. Okay, so the signature we calculated did not match signature. So that's the error we're getting. So the key I was assigning to the project started with a period. Let's call that error. I wish. All right, so let me check that again. So let's move to full screen and let me check that again. I don't see any. Let me see. Oh, okay. It's definitely not the same thing. Something. Okay, I have an extra. Okay, I did have a typo in there. Somehow I got an extra T in there. So let's fix that. All right, cool. So let's transition back and let's run it. Boom, look at that. So now if we go here, you get a new session popping up. We should get some text about what's happening as well. Should be popping up a new, hang on, Windows, okay. I think that should be fine. Selenium-Wire. Actually, it doesn't even matter because it's running on a Windows machine, but our machine that's running Selenium-Wire is a Linux machine, so we should be good regardless. All right, so go to home page. Okay, cool. So we have our next session running. Thing about this, we can't necessarily see what's going on, but that's cool. We do get the video playback when it's done. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. So we got progress, definitely got progress. Because we already saw it running locally. All right, so here we go. Okay, so look at that. It's this code right here that we see here. Let me expand this. Let me make this bigger. So this code that we see here, that's already coming from Selenium-Wire. So we already know Selenium-Wire is working. There goes the request URL, there goes the status code, and there goes the content type. So continuing to the next step. Okay, click on first featured thumbnail. Gonna wait about a minute. And then it's going, oh, after it clicks on the video, it's gonna wait about a minute. Then it's going to very good, very good. Yeah, like I was saying, did you see how we ran into that roadblock and just like that engineering mindset of, all right, what is the problem that we're having? it's saying that it can't create that file. But okay, what if we manually try to create it? Because usually, like when I'll do like a Vim, it would for like a file that doesn't exist, it would create it. But okay, fine, it wasn't happening on the EC2 instance. So I'm like, all right, let's. Am I able to create this? Is it really a permissions issue, or is it like a creating the file issue? So I'm like, all right, let me try to create the AWS directory manually, and then it gets created. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! It's getting all of our segments. Let me see here. Let's move this over. Look at it run. And it's so fast too. Look at that. We got our M3 U8. Our quality. All right. So let's break it down. So you already know what we did with the M3 U8 part, but the fact that our Selenium-Wire was able to capture the playlist, right? Look at that. MPEG URL. So it got so there goes our variant, a variant manifest that has all the different qualities. And now the first quality is 1920 by 1080. We have our quality manifest URI, and then all the segments for that one, right? We scroll down some more. Not even sure what it's playing, but it's going. All right, so now video 2 for 1280. So here's the quality manifest. Same video as you can see here and here. And it's loading all the segments. The quality manifest for 720. All the segments are loaded. And we know that they're like CloudFront cache hits because, I mean, it's the featured video on Flow Grappling, so the people are watching it. I do find it interesting that they use the CloudFront URL for that. I guess it doesn't really matter because nobody can see these segment URLs anyway, so using the CloudFront URL, the cloudfront.net doesn't make any difference. I just find it interesting that they didn't route it to like a Flow Grappling URL. Yeah, that's amazing. It's actually working as anticipated. And it's so keep in mind though, like this is running on the AWS device farm. And the test is running on EC2. So from EC2, it's sending the request to the AWS device farm to use its grid, and it's running, and then it's sending back the request information to the to that EC2 instance because we passed that public IP with the port that's open, right? And now it's just going through the site. So I think it might be going a little bit slower now because I don't know, maybe not many people watch it at that quality. I don't know why it's going slower, but it zoomed through the first one because it had the proper caching in place. So look at that. Look at, you know what, that deserves another one of these. So awesome, so awesome. It's always like I said, that's why we have the hoodie on, because it's our superpower. All right, look at that happen. I don't even know if I'm going to wait for all this to finish, but we successfully configured AWS Device Farm to work with Selenium-Wire on an EC2 instance. Technically, it could be done if you're running it locally, but there is so much like configuration involved where like you have to work with your ISP and your router that it's so much easier to just do it on an EC2 instance, or I mean you can do it on like Google Cloud Platform. You can do it on, so, and what I mean by you can do it on Google Cloud Platform, I don't think Google Cloud has like a device farm, but you could configure a one of their servers to run your tests, and then you have to the same way we configured it with AWS to have the public facing IP with the port open. You'd have to do the same thing on Microsoft Azure or on Google Cloud, where you send it out to the device farm, and then like you would have to install like you have to put your credentials, of course, in there as well. But it sends it out to the device farm. The device farm sends it back to the configured URL. But it's the same thing. But as we can see here, it is working as we would expect. All right. And it didn't take too much effort to do that. So that's pretty cool. Very cool. I'm excited. I am super excited by what we were able to do today. Let's see. So I am not going to wait for this thing to finish. You can wait till, how many segments did it have in the first one? At 567. Yeah, we are at, and then there's probably like mini ones, the next one too. Yeah, we're going to stop it. But we know that it's working. So yeah, let's go. Let's stop that. All right. I don't know why it doesn't work here. All right, cool. Let's stop. We know that it works as it should. Is this one done? Let's see what happened here. Play video. Got the Daisy fresh. Captured that manifest URI. I think the video is actually playing. Yeah, the video is actually playing. Look at that. We successfully tested video playback in the sense of getting that manifest and making sure that getting the M38 parts of that, we're getting the right responses when we go through each segment, right? Very cool stuff. All right. Let's see. All the way here. Let's make this bigger a little bit. Can I do that? Yep, let's go. Look at that here. Let's see. So it's playing. Very cool. Look at that. Amazing. That is freaking amazing. Cool. So I think that there's nothing else to do today, right? I think that was great. This was wonderful. Being able to, we ran into a little bit of a roadblock, but that didn't stop us. We configured it to, we ran into a roadblock and we said, okay, what's the problem? It's the credentials. So trying to just do the Vim, it was saying it can't write it. All right, cool. Did some research and there was nothing really there. We didn't find any information online about what we were trying to do, but I said, all right. I thought to myself, I'm like, well, if it's saying that it can't create it, what if I just try to create it manually, right? And that's what I did. I'm like, okay, will it allow me to create, where is the problem actually happening? So can I create the AWS folder, the .aws folder? And okay, that worked. I'm like, okay, fine. Can I create the credentials file? Create credentials file, put just some dummy text in there. Okay, that worked. I'm like, okay, cool. So now if I put in the actual credentials that we're going to be using, what's going to happen? Put those credentials and it's saved. So I'm like, all right, let's give it a run. Had a typo. It's a typo. Boom. Look at that. Works like a charm. Right? So that's that. Let me see. Did we have anything else to do? Let's see. Not really. Let's see here. All right, so let's transition back. Let's finish looking at that that last job description for the junior DevOps engineer, and then we will wrap it up for tonight. We did amazing, and you know what? I am addicted to one thing, and that one thing is
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Yep, winning. Let's keep winning. We have not lost yet. We have not lost yet. We're gonna keep winning. So, all right, let's get back to that job description. So, all right, technical requirements: at least 1 year with RHEL or Debian-based OS. 1 year experience with Ansible, Chef, Puppet. Okay, like you see, Ansible is being mentioned a lot, right? 1 year experience with running DevOps, running Docker containers. Yep, Docker is very important. 1 year experience with Kubernetes, experience with Prometheus, experience with Bash or Python, experience with cloud provider, Azure, AWS, or GCP. Azure preferred, so it looks like they were more of a Windows-based place. Experience with monitoring tools such as Datadog, Site 24/7, experience with GitHub, Git, CI/CD systems, GitHub Actions preferred. Okay, so look at that. Like the ones that when they say preferred, it's like focus on these things, right? Nice to have Azure Cloud certification. As a junior, they'll hire you without it, but they'll be looking for you to get that certification, which I would say it would be important to get it. It'll make you stand out from the rest, right? Behavioral expectations, positive and solutions oriented mindset. Yep, positive and solution, like go out there and win, you know? Ability to communicate successfully with remote teams, ability to work effectively in a fast-paced, changing environment, active participation in daily stand-ups. This is typical work stuff. Provide daily updates in team update system, a work ethic which includes honesty, integrity, and maintains confidentiality at all times. Ability to work with a hybrid agile waterfall development methodology, great troubleshooting and problem-solving skills, motivation, and drive to grow into higher level roles. Perfect. So, and this is great, right? And this behavioral thing is super important as well because it sets the foundation on what type of employee you'll be. One thing, so let's transition out of that, right? One thing that like coworkers and employees who like complain and stuff like that, it can be demotivating, you know? So it's like having that positive can-do attitude, like pushing and pushing and pushing to say, like, I am solutions-based. We are going to win no matter what. That's what's important. Always trying to win. So then, you know, and your communication skills, work on, build up your communication skills, because it's one thing to have the actual skills to do the job, but it's another thing when you have, it's another thing like to have the skills, but another thing to be able to communicate and to work together in a team. That just putting those two together, because a lot of people, they have the skills, but they don't have the communication, like that, the personality to work effectively with others, right? So when you have those two combined, you are a shoo-in for success, you know? So you got to do the work on both sides. It's not just on one. Work ethic and honesty, integrity, maintains confidentiality. Like, can you be trusted? You know? So like I was saying, like if there's something you don't know, research it. So hybrid agile, waterfall development, look into those things to see, okay, what is this? These are the things that you need to learn for like working environments. You can know, like I said, you can know the code and these like the Docker containers, Kubernetes, but you need to be able to communicate. And the more effective you can communicate, so that can be the difference between getting a job and like just being in that job for years, that same position, versus just quickly rising through the ranks of a company, right? Having those communication skills. So it's super important. All right. And great troubleshooting and problem solving skills. Like we just saw today, right? We were stuck. We had to troubleshoot. We did our research, didn't really find it. All right, cool. Like take a step back, take a breather. What do I need to do to, like, what's the problem that I'm experiencing? What do I need to do to get it to work the way that I want it to work, and work through the problem? We put the problem in front of us and you say, all right, I got my hoodie on, got my protection. I'm not going to be defeated. And I just need some time. And you just go and go and go. And you dig at the problem, until the problem says, this is too much pressure for me. It's too much pressure for me. And here is your solution. That's how you engineer the win. Our motto, engineered to win. That's what we do. All right. So with that being said, motivation to drive to grow into higher level roles. That's what we're here for. Like, if you just want to be in the same spot for the rest of your life, then this channel is not for you. I'm not for you, right? Because we're driven, goal oriented, right? We make plans to achieve our goals. We don't dream. We set goals and we crush them. Okay, that's what we do here. And if you're following along, I hope that's your goal too, right? Because that's what I'm pushing everyone to do: to set goals and then crush those goals. And you do that. What's the term? On time. So you do it early, and you do it for earlier than the goal that you set. So let's say you set it for like 10 years. Go to crush it in 7, right? You just keep pushing until you get to where you want to be, and then you set new goals. Once you get there, you don't quit. You just set new goals. Oh, like as I learn, I just set the bar higher and higher to get further. You know. So, anything else? Okay, so that's it for that job. All right, so let's address the chat before we get going. I am going to stop the timer and turn it off because we are done for the day. But answer a question from our good friend Melissa. What is the best place to run a test? AWS, EC2? That's a good question. The best place to run a test. Oh, let's see. It depends on your setup, right? I'd probably say it depends on your setup, size of your company, your budget. The best place would probably be like using. So like the best setup would be like some type of infrastructure, whether you're using a software like Jenkins or TeamCity, where it's managing like executing the test. There's a lot of infrastructure involved, right? So you can trigger your test to be launched from like an EC2 instance, but it's running it like we did today on the device farm, right? Which would be a great way to run tests fast with like minimal setup needing to required. So I would say, yeah, like using putting tools together, like whether, let's say you can also do like set up a EC2 with Docker and run your tests there. But I would say in general, you can have an EC2 instance where it can have a schedule to run the test and then the test run on the device farm, because that way you can test it on multiple different browsers. Let's say you're doing it on like actual mobile devices or iPad, tablets, and stuff like that. You can set it to run like on multiple. So you're making sure that your mobile website or your mobile applications are working. So I would definitely say like AWS in general. Let's go with AWS, right? And then based on what you're trying to accomplish, somewhere on AWS would be the best. To me, it's the best place to run a test. Okay, especially if you have a lot of tests that you're running. Okay, so that's that. Thank you so much for your question. And before we wrap up, one last comment from our good friend Beatrice. Says, well explained, good content as always. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for following along, and we appreciate your consistent patronage. Well, my friends, on that note, we have been going for almost 3 hours. Oh my God. All right. We are out. We are out for today.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.